Hello friends, and welcome to part 2 of our meal prepping series, Meal Prepping on a Budget. One of the biggest advantages to meal prepping is just how much money you can save. In today's video, I'll share with you how I plan healthy and delicious meals, all for less than $1.50 per meal. I'm going to share with you all of my money-saving tips, as well as several healthy, low-cost recipes that you can prepare at home. Hello friends, welcome to Nutrition with Celeste. My name's Celeste, and on this channel I share information about practical nutrition, accessible cooking, and yummy food. While I have formal training in both nutritional sciences and culinary arts, I am not yet a registered dietitian and do not claim to know more than a licensed dietitian or medical doctor. Everything I say here is purely educational, and you should always consult with a professional before changing your eating or supplement routine. In part 1 of this series, we introduced the fundamentals of meal prepping, and I'm going to be referencing those concepts a lot in today's video. So if you haven't watched part 1, Fundamentals of Meal Prepping, pause this video and go check it out right now. I'll be here when you get back. Alright friends, so we all know that food can be expensive, but by following these money-saving tips, you can dramatically reduce your spending on food. Let's get into it. Okay, so tip number 1 is to plan it out. Now you've heard me say this in part 1 of this series, but I'm saying it again, proper planning is the most important step to ensuring a successful meal prep. When you plan ahead of time, you can check out the sales and plan your meals around them. And you can also cost out your grocery list before you go. If your bill is looking like it's a little bit too expensive, you can change things around before you get to the store. By planning ahead, you'll have a good idea of how much you're going to spend, and then there won't be any surprises when you get to the checkout line. Let's jump to my grocery list to talk about the planning I did for today's meal prep. Okay, so for those of you who watched the fundamentals video, this will look familiar, but this is just the way that I plan out my meals. So I start with the meals that I'm going to have during the day, and then I do specific dishes that I want to have for those meals. So this meal prep is actually for 2 weeks worth of food, so I wanted to put a significant amount of lunch and dinner options. Now, like I did in the first video, I went through and wrote out every ingredient that I'll need to complete these dishes, and then I put in red the ingredients that I already had, so I know I don't need to buy those. I then pulled from the ingredient list to make my grocery list, and you'll see that I organized it into certain columns for different areas of the store. So I estimated that I would be able to get all of this food, remember this is 2 weeks worth of food, for around $50, and I did just that. So when I got to the store, I ended up spending $52.97. Divide that by 14, and I spent $3.78 on food each day for this meal prep. Divide that number again by 3, and we can see that I spent only $1.26 for each meal of these 2 weeks. I think this illustrates just how well meal prepping and planning can save money. My second money-saving tip is to buy store brand products. Store brand foods are those that aren't associated with a national brand. So something like Oreo might be a nationally recognized brand, but chocolate sandwich cookies with the store's name on it is going to be an example of a store brand food. Business Insider estimates that on average, store brand foods are 25% cheaper than nationally branded foods, and I have the evidence here to prove it. So today I bought this store brand almond milk, and this cost me $2.79. Compare that with Califia almond milk, which was actually on sale today, and I still saved $1.30. I also brought this store brand 100% whole wheat bread for $1.99, but if I had gone with branded Pepperidge Farm bread, I would have spent $2 more per loaf. Multiply that by the fact that I got 2 loaves, and I ended up saving $4 by going for a store brand. Now you might be attached to national brands for certain foods like Oreos, but if you swap out even a couple things on your grocery list for store brands, you'll end up saving a lot of money. My third tip for budgeted meal prepping is to buy in bulk. For foods that you eat often, sometimes buying a larger quantity or in bulk can save you a lot of money. Here are some examples from my groceries today. So today I got a whole bag of oranges. I believe there are 8 in here, and I got this for $3.50. The store was also selling oranges individually for $1.25 each. So if I had purchased 8 individual oranges, that would have totaled out to $10 total. This only cost $3.50. So if we do 10 minus $3.50, we can see I actually saved $6.50 by going for the bulk packaging. You'll also notice I purchased a whole chicken, which the store was selling for $1.79 per pound, which is really cheap when it comes to animal protein. In contrast though, they were trying to sell boneless, skinless chicken breast for $7.99 a pound. This price difference comes because when you're talking about a more processed product like boneless, skinless chicken breast, someone had to do labor in order to make that product what it is today. So someone had to remove the bones, someone had to remove the skin. Whereas with this whole chicken, the skin is still on and the bones are still intact. So you're the one doing the work to remove those things. Basically, meat in any less processed whole form is going to be a lot cheaper than processed meats. So buying in bulk makes sense for certain foods, but not for those that you eat less frequently. Switch to bulk options for the foods that you eat more frequently, and you're sure to save a lot of money.
Pause now to screenshot the recipe.
This is kind of funny timing after we've just finished going through the roasted chicken recipe, but my fourth tip for you guys is to include vegetarian protein sources. This chicken cost me about $7 and will probably yield around 4 servings of protein, whereas this bag of lentils cost me only $1.59 and will yield 7 servings of quality protein. When you do out the math, that's 23 cents per serving, or 8 times cheaper than our already cheap whole chicken. Now I can hear the bodybuilders now saying that lentils and beans aren't a source of complete protein, but we're gonna combine these lentils with brown beans and make sure that we have all of the essential amino acids that we need. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a video in the future about complete proteins. I'd love to chat about it.
Pause now to screenshot the recipe.
My fifth tip for you guys is to make it from scratch. So if you have the time, making foods from scratch can save you so much money. This goes back to the point I made earlier about the chicken. Foods that are in their whole, less processed form are usually much cheaper than those that have undergone some type of processing. When you personally put in the work, you don't have to pay for another person's labor. I'm making my own tomato sauce today from this can of crushed tomatoes that cost me only $1.19. But there are lots of things you could make from scratch. You could make your own bread, you could do stocks, hummus, even desserts, all kinds of things, and they'll all save you money.
Pause now to screenshot the recipe.
My sixth tip is to lean on staples. Staple foods are those that you eat frequently and make up a significant portion of your diet. A person's staple foods are largely influenced by culture and their location in the world. So examples of staple foods include rice, grains, roots, tubers, corns, all kind of stuff like that. Staples are normally quite inexpensive and they're also wonderfully versatile. Just think of all of the dishes that you can make using pasta. Relying on a couple inexpensive staples can reduce your grocery costs dramatically. My last tip for you guys is to rely on less expensive produce. Now, I eat lots of fruits and vegetables, as you can see, so I know the cost of produce can add up quickly. However, even if you're shopping on a budget, fresh produce is absolutely not out of your price range. I recommend that you do some research to see which fruits and vegetables are the most and least expensive. The USDA has an awesome resource that you can use to compare average retail prices of fruits and vegetables. I'll link it in the description. In general, foods that are in season will be less expensive than something that had to be flown from the other side of the world. Foods that are more delicate, like berries, will also be a lot more expensive than tougher foods like root vegetables. This is because they just require so much more packaging and care during the transportation process. For example, I'm cooking with cabbage today, which cost me just 79 cents a pound. If I had gone for something like asparagus, I would have been spending upwards of $4 per pound. Alright friends, those are my tips and tricks for meal prepping on a budget. I hope you learned something today and maybe you're even feeling inspired to try one of these recipes at home. Join me next week for part 3 of this series, Meal Prepping When You Don't Have Time to Cook. I'll see you then.